I don't see you.
Boom.
Oh, there you are.
Yep, you should. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sorry for the little bit of a delayed start.
I've
I
got
don't see
echo now, bro.
you. There you are.
Yeah, it's because I have to hit. Hang
I've
on.
got echo.
Rose. Sorry, we got some audio issues, guys. Rose, I think we're coming in through your audio or something. I'm good now. We're good now. Boom. All right, let me add Rose's video here, guys. What's up, guys? Gotta love this. I swear I could make a show, guys, out of me trying how to figure out how to do this without like adding the proper, you know what I mean. Like, there's definitely software to make this easier on me.
I'm getting a lot of reverb. There's like two people talking, but I'm like hearing myself twice.
Yeah, it's because you're either in YouTube. Sorry, so it's because I'm having to hit a button that I use that's causing the reverb. You should be good now.
Uh, I also had two of the Zoom meetings open. That
That'll do
two
it.
of the. I had two of the YouTube opens. So that was I was getting it like four streams of audio.
I've done that. Okay, guys, what's up? What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome. Welcome to the show. Sorry for the little bit later start, but I figure, you know what, if you're on here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you don't have anything to do anyway, and we're all addicted to trading and addicted to all this. You might have something to do. You might be cooler than me, but my kids and wife are in the bed. Well, we're going to talk about the week. We're going to do a little bit of a review. Guest traders, I'll point this way. The amazing Amazon queen, Mrs. Rose, and the man with the mustache, the facial hair of wisdom, who knows it all, Mr. CT, here with me tonight. We'll talk about the week. We'll talk about trading, some psychology, how we handled this week, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'll show you my biggest ever point spread loss in the least amount of time. Incredible loss. Very proud of this loss. I'm going to frame this picture and put it on my wall to show what can happen when a trade goes wrong. Talk about that tonight. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's kick off this show. Alrighty, first, Salancha. Cheers for whatever you're drinking.
Fuck.
There you go. Cameras are flipped. Cheers, homeboys and homegirls. Oh, that's good stuff. There you go. So, best week of trading, I think, this month, in my opinion, top to bottom. Hope you guys had good weeks. You know, throw in the comments. Let me know how you good a week. If you had a good week, if you're hanging out here, leave a like. You know, comment all you want to. Love. You know, if you're gonna watch, you might as well throw a like down there. I'd appreciate it. Best week, probably as far as like the moves. Would y'all agree?
Very nice week. Like good trading this week for sure.
And it was hard the rest of the week. Like earlier in the week, early in the month, sorry. It was like consolidation, consolidation. You really had to be careful with your moves. You really had to be cautious with your moves. And there was no holding runners for the most part. It was like you were playing these range plays, you were maybe catching one or two trades early in the day, and then you were done. This week, like you actually got some volume. I think there were 2 days where the 10-minute ATR on Tesla, 1 minute chart but 10-minute time frame ATR, the average price of the chart was like didn't go below 2 all day or something like that. It was like $3 and $4, and I don't remember what day that was. I think it was the day I went golfing, but it was like pretty just good, you know. And that doesn't mean that there weren't stuff to learn, and there wasn't hard um, things to overcome, but it felt good. So it felt really good. And I'll drop Rose, your video cut back, so I'll drop you out just for a second. I can see when you come back. What were your thoughts on the week, CT? And then when Rose comes back, we'll hit her. But what was your thoughts on the week this week for you?
Yeah, I definitely thought that this was a good week of trading. Last week I found somewhat challenging, and it was hit or miss, and definitely challenging environment for the past few weeks. I think that this week we're getting back to like what we were talking about earlier. Like you can lock in your day pretty early if you play your cards right in the first 30 minutes.
You seem to do that this week. Like you had a pretty, I assume, successful week, but and this is a little bit different from people. And you're an experienced trader. You're on the CRO, like you're on the mic with us and stuff, and you're done this week in 30 minutes to an hour almost every day. You're just like, hey, I'm done. I locked it in. What was your thought process behind that this week, as opposed to staying when you could kind of tell it was an easy week? Like, where were you at mentally to, like, you know?
Okay, so start answering that by saying that the prior week was not a great week for me. I made some multiple changes to like my active trader layout, and also added some chart changes and stuff. And I think it was too many things at once, and then also combined with like some technical difficulties on one day last week, kind of set off a string of events that was not cute.
Mm-hmm.
And so my primary goal this week was to just get back on track and lock in green days, because of course that's what we always talk about doing. If you have any kind of a rough patch, just lock in those days. So this week, probably, I guess every day this week I've been chilling for like the first 5 minutes, and then like I'll start trading. Within 15 minutes, I've already made my day. I'm tiered down, and it's just it feels so. After you have a rough week, the best possible feeling is just locking in green days one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Being done in 20, 30 minutes. Just such a great feeling, and that's how you get yourself back on track if you experience a rough patch, in my opinion. And so that was my goal this week. That's what I did. I stuck to the plan, green every day, and done in probably 30 to 45 minutes every day. So
Heck
excellent
yeah.
week.
That's a good hourly wage. Like
Yeah.
whatever I don't know what you got, but like that's a like 30 to 45 minutes of work, and you're like, making a living.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like we talk about, oh, if you make this much money, it turns into this much every year. If you average this much every day, you think about that 20 minutes into your day, and you're like, wow, you know what? This is a pretty cool job.
Yeah. It's like I don't have to sit here and do this. Did you have FOMO? And then I'll ask Rose like how your week was and stuff. But did you have like or was it just like you were just honed in on like what your goal was, and you were like, I don't care about the money. I'm just like, I want to feel good this week. I remember what last week felt like. Like, was there a little bit of like
Yeah,
conflict
because
there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is I never really, it's very rare for me to have consecutive red days. So last week, for me to have like a couple red days in a row, really, like, that was testing my psychology. And so the most important thing this week was not how much money can I make? Can I grind out all day? It was, let's get your psychology back to being where it needs to be, so that you can, trade with confidence and come in feeling good every day. So, sometimes that's the best thing to do for your trading, I think, rather than being focused on the money. And I didn't really suffer from FOMO. Like it was crazy coming in the following day and opening up my charts and being like, wow, there were some big moves after I left. But then you also like are reading through chat, and a lot of people, give back, or have yo-yo P&Ls and stuff. And that's not the kind of psychological like events I want to deal with after I had a rough week. So it just felt so good to make my money, be done, enjoy my day, living the life.
Yeah, Rose, I'm sure you agree, but that's like, well, I don't know if you agree, but I'll let you say. But that's like, I can't say enough how important what you just said is to long-term trading success, as opposed to like just making it back and then you would just go back in that yo-yo. Because like what you did, the mental health side of what you did, and just locking that in, not dealing with that yo-yo, that ability to tilt after a bad week, like you avoided that, you beat that, and I'm sure you feel better now than if you would have done something else and traded all day and lost and gave back. And then what happens? And then who knows? But it's not about the money. It can't be about just about the money. And Rose,
Oh,
or sorry, go ahead, CT.
Oh no, I thought that we were gonna give Rose a turn here.
For sure. So Rose, like, thoughts to CT says, and then also your week. How was your week? How was your what was your mindset going throughout the week? How did you do?
This week was really nice, and it was such a contrast to the last few weeks that we've had. And I struggled not this week, but the previous weeks. And I kind of like CT, I was having issues of over trading, of giving my day back, of, the things that we go through when the market's difficult. And I've always said since I started this, it doesn't matter if you don't make money in a certain day. It doesn't even matter if you do make money, you give it all back. What matters is if you don't tilt and go big red. Small red you can handle, because those good days, those good weeks when it's, quote, easy, and that money is just there, is more than you need to live on and to be successful at this. So as long as you don't have to start subtracting from your good week and your good day, these red days that you had in the previous weeks, and then you end up hopefully at a wash or worse, it makes it a lot easier. It's a lot easier if you're flat on other days or small red, you don't have to subtract big red from your nice green weeks. It makes it a lot easier. So it's like, it's okay to not make money. Just don't lose a bunch of money. That's where it's like, it's okay to not make money. Just don't lose a bunch of money. So that's always been, a thing in my head. Like, I don't have to make money today. Just don't lose. And then those days where it is there and it's easy, okay, then you want to try to hang on to that. So what I found for this week is, to me, it seemed like I had learned a lot from the previous 2 weeks when it was a lot more difficult and we had a lot of whippiness, a lot of choppiness. We didn't have, maybe the first 30 minutes was just about the only tradable time for several days, the first part of this month. It was just, and then after that, it was just like swimming upstream. It was just, or you're just giving back, or it's choppy, or you make some, it's just not worth it. And I definitely struggled during that phase. So when this week came along, I think being somewhat conditioned from the previous 3 weeks, it was like, wow, okay, this is like a lot better. This is like a lot easier. This is like, and it's like, I felt like I had learned a lot, but in hindsight, I didn't learn a lot this week. It was the previous weeks that I learned a lot, and it didn't show up until this week when you had such a contrast in the market. And like this afternoon, okay, today, the morning was great. I thought it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Then like power hour for the last several days has been a complete disappointment. So coming into power hour is like, there is nothing here. And it's just so obvious. There's just like nothing here. This is like really ATR is low. Like I think you said, Gator market's dead. It's flat. There's just but that's kind of how it was for most of the time the previous weeks. So it's like now you had this contrast to really see the difference. Okay, this is what's good again, and this is what we were trying to trade when it was not so easy and more difficult. So seeing that contrast, it was like, oh, well, I'm not going to trade this. It was just like obvious. When the previous week or two, it wasn't so obvious because that's how it was the majority of the time. And I was trying to force trades, and I had to put myself on a 10 trade limit. I had to take extreme measures, and I also agree with UCT. Sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes your brain gets into a rut, and I got into that rut pretty badly the last, not this week, but the previous weeks. And I took 1 day off, and then I think I took 2 days off. And just that 1 day off was very helpful because it helped break um, that pattern that we get into, that rut of that tunnel vision. Even though I mentally like see what I'm doing wrong, but then the next day I come into the market and I do the same thing that I see that I told myself I did wrong yesterday. I'm doing it wrong again the next day. And sometimes to it's more than just knowing what you're doing wrong, but you have to literally like take a break, get your brain into a different environment. Then when you come back to it, you have a different, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you see it, you're able to, not only do you
Detach.
see it differently, maybe it's that, maybe you're able to detach, you're able to have a fresh look at it because you're not then in this click reward brain cycle that we get into when we take a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of trades like this. Kind of interesting. I don't know that, but I've observed it in myself. And it's kind of, in some ways, it's a little scary. Like, wow, I know what I need to do and I know what I'm doing wrong, but yet I'm repeating the same mistakes the next day, even though I know this this is what I need to be fixing. And I'm like, why am I not able to do what I know I need to do?
It's like there's always
That's
that possibility of reward there or something.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's tough. I mean, people are saying this in the YouTube chat. It's tough to be away from the market because you're always worried about missing some great day. And for me, like 2 points that really resonate with me, Rose, is the first being that like we're such better traders now after like experiencing the past few rough weeks. And those of you who've been watching our shows every week or watching Gator shows know that we talk about this, that these rough periods make you that much better when trading improves. And the other thing that resonates for me, Rose, is about taking some time off. I think that when I was first starting, it was really tough for me to take days off trading. But then, I took a couple vacations and, took some time off. And I think it's important to do that from time to time so you can realize, what, it's okay to take days off. It's not, you don't have to be here every day, and you're going to be just fine if you miss some trading days. And I've got, a vacation coming up in a couple weeks here, and I've had vacations in the past, and I'm just fine. You think it's going to be the end of the world, you're going to miss the best trading day. And I think that that's all part of the mindset of like how you lock in early in the day. Being able to walk away from the market is a very important skill to have, in my opinion. So taking time off from time to time, I think, is a great idea.
And there was a time, not this last week, but the previous week or two, I literally was getting mentally burned out. Like my head literally was hurting, and the eye strain, the mental fatigue. And I was like, wow, this is really intense and it's really taking a toll on me physically and mentally. And if you don't get enough sleep, and then it just compounds, the one stressful day, then another stressful day, and another stressful day. And, at some point you have to think like, okay, how sustainable is this for my physical health?
Mm-hmm.
So that just doing like the first 30 minutes or the first hour when it was really difficult. Well, even today, that's pretty much all I traded was the first, I think, hour. And it's like, that's all you need a lot of times. Um, it really, um, um, it really gives you that ability to come in more fresh when you're there all day, day after day. That's intense.
Mm-hmm.
That's really intense.
Your gas tank really gets emptied out when you start doing that. If you're there all day, every day, through the slow parts of the market, trying to catch a move, trying to catch a break,
Mm.
wishing something would come, like at some point, it's kind of like using a biblical example, kind of like David and Bathsheba, like you're putting something in front of your face that you can only look at for so long without just like, let me try a little bit of this, like the forbidden fruit or whatever. Like let me try a little bit. I got to take this trade. This might be the one that rips up. Oh, we got, and it's just like at some point, you're just losing the ability. Like no one has unlimited discipline. No one has an
Indeed.
unlimited gas tank.
Yeah, and honestly, that is taxing to the act of restraint when you're watching charts all day. I think that's a great point, Gator. I've never really thought about that, but like sitting in front of charts all day and constantly convincing yourself not to take trades that you're rationalizing are decent setups, like that does take a lot of mental energy. And discipline is energy, and it might be best to save that for the following day rather than sit here all day sometimes. I mean, everybody's different, but for me, yeah, and also like that roller coaster, man. You always like just going up and down all day. Like even if it's not a lot, it's emotionally taxing. So you got to know yourself and know what's the best thing for your mental health.
Yeah, and Peacock
What
asks, or sorry, go ahead, Rose.
Well, one of the ruts I would get into is I would make the money in my first trade. Sometimes that was my best trade, was the first trade of the day. And I'm like, okay, well, it's 5 minutes. I can't leave now. The market just opened.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I would add or lose. But then like within, after that first 30-minute window, um, if you lose the money that you made, psychologically, you want to try to stay there and make it back. And there's so many times I've just stayed there all day to try to make back what I made in the morning. And I just can't do it. Or I do it and then I go red, or then I'm now red. And like now I really can't leave because I'm red. But psychologically, it's a total fallacy because if you were green and now you're red, okay, the market isn't probably the best market right now. It's not the easiest, and the odds are not in your favor because there's a reason why you lost unless you did something really stupid. So that's where it gets the
Unless
hardest.
this
When that's where it gets really hard.
this trade right here,
Oh man, you're really glad that was only 5 contracts.
dude. This trade.
I don't know what contracts you're on, Gator. I had 4 contracts of what was your call, your strike? You had the 720s.
I always
I had
play
the
in the
seven.
money, guys.
I think I had the
I feel like
750s.
we need like a side channel in Discord where people share their like stellar losses.
It's like all losses. I'm just gonna keep this here for the rest of the show, so people can just watch how much I lost in 5 seconds.
Well, you should tell the backstory because not everybody knows that. Like I wasn't here for that, but I
Oh.
do know. Yeah.
So So like Tesla failed a breakdown and started breaking out of a wedge. It it was going to break down. It didn't. It started breaking above, and then so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try 5 contracts here. I'm gonna let this kind of run a little bit. I saw like a range I was looking at, and I was like, this is a small trade. I'm up big at this point. This was my best day of the week. I'm up. Like this didn't even take me to zero. Like this loss, I'm still way green on the day. So it was a great day. And then this happens, and I'm like, and I buy it, and then as soon as it starts going up, I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting here. I'm not depressed to click because I'm not looking to scalp this, and I'm up a little bit. I'm just looking, let's see what happens here. Midday stuff. I'm not risking money. I'm just, I think this is a good trade. I think we could run up a little bit, and then all of a sudden Tesla just starts dropping. I'm like, wait, what? What? Sell. And then Geronimo's like, SEC news, Tesla, SEC news, investigation, insider trading, Tesla. And I was out before he said that. Like, as soon as Tesla started dropping, it was like red print 20 points lower. It was like that. And I don't think I was recording because I had stopped recording to record for like a video thing that I'm doing for YouTube, like a screen thing or something. And for those who were in this trade, the thing just sinks 20 points in 2 to 3 seconds, and I don't even think, it's just like sell. Like I'm not looking at stuff, I'm just like watching. I'm there, it's like you're out, click sell. And I might be able to challenge that trade with Fidelity, who knows. I don't really, I mean, I care, it's a lot of money, but and so I was just, boom, I looked, I was like, what, and then as soon as Geronimo says that, he's like, short, I turn around and short Tesla, and I lose. and I short it again and I lose, and I short it again and I lose. And actually on one of those trades I was up like 5 points, but I lost like 8 grand here and then another 5 grand doing something else. So I'm trying to short it and I'm up 5 grand and I don't take the trade and then I lose another 2 or 3 grand. I'm like, son of a gun. Dang. All right. Hands up. It's like, you're an idiot.
Take a drink, brother.
Yeah. It's like, I don't
I feel like you just relived it. It's traumatic to listen to.
It's like, it's like 15, 20 grand. I was up. It's like, I've now lost 20 grand. And this trade turned into like a 15 to, I don't remember how much, but this 8 grand loss, I doubled this 8 grand loss trying to catch the short because I thought it was going to follow through. And I was like, okay, screw this noise. It's like, I'm taking a break. And I didn't take long of a break. I just like, hey, and here's what I told myself. I was like, all right, you're trading great today. This is a once in a lifetime. Take a picture of this and frame it. You're going to put it there to remind you what can happen. And just be thankful that you weren't in 20 contracts holding for day high. And let's, because that could have happened. Let's be real. Like, there's plenty of times I do 10, 20 contracts.
And for all of you out there who like suffer from FOMO and want to stick around all day and trade all day, look at what time this happened.
Yep, look at the time. 2:30. Y'all are talking about stuff like, hey, I want to hang out all day. I want to take all these trades. It's like, yeah, until some negative news comes out and you're long and it drops 20 points in your face. So I step up, I walk away. Like, I don't even think I leave my jail here. I'm just like, okay. I think I had some kombucha, and I'm like, all right, let's see. What am I going to do? You either keep trying to catch this short, or you step back, OODA loop. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's the market at? All right, you're trading great today. Get back to it. Sit down and relax.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. Can't be about the money. That's all I just said. Hey, it's not about the money. You're not making this back. Get that out of your head. Money's not coming back. Screw it. You're not having a 50 grand day. It doesn't matter. Hey, sit down. All right. Let's see. What's the charts looking like? What can I see? Okay, Tesla's doing this. Okay, this is doing this. All right, let's watch this setup. Size down to 5 contracts. Well, that's what I was at. But let's see. Let's get a couple wins. All right, got a win. Got a win. All right, let's do 10. And then I worked my way back, and I actually made more than this back. More than what I lost in a single trade. Not more than what I totally lost. Wait. No, I did not get back to account highs. I was very close to my account highs. I did not make it back to account highs. And that was fine because that was not my goal to make it back to account highs at that point. It was just trade smart. It was like, hey, it's like what Rose said. You've learned this lesson before on how you lose and what happens and all this stuff, what goes through your head. I've learned the lesson before. And I was like, if you're going to sit here, you have one or two options. You either log off of your computer because you're going to get toxic and you're going to actually go red, or you start trading again and stop trying to make your money back. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to try to make my money back anymore. I'm just going to find the next trade, the next setup, and I'm going to watch for it. And Tesla kept going up that day, and I ended up making roughly 80%, 90% of my P&L back that day, and it was a great day. And
I had
yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I had a similar experience, and it's interesting that we were not on the mic at the time, but I entered that trade literally. I took the same trade. I bought Tesla literally about 5 seconds before that news came out. And I just had entered the trade and I did 4 contracts. And I don't remember what strike I was, and I didn't take a picture of it. I should have. And I don't even know, I think I just saw the red candle and just sold, but I lost 6 points. So I don't know. I think you lost what, 15 points? What is that there?
15 points or something.
15 points. So I don't know if that's the difference between the strikes, that your strike keeper in the money, they spread it out more.
But almost 4 points a second.
Yeah, I don't even know how. I should go back and look at my orders to see when I hit the sell button for when I entered the button. But anyway, it was like what? I think I got out pretty fast, but I lost like 6 points. And that same thing that you were talking about, Gator, then when they were talking about the news, And I also was in a large swing position on Tesla from earlier in the morning. And here Tesla's just like dropping. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking, okay, do I need to get out of my swing position? Do I need to like sell all of that? Do I, but then I tried to do what you did, Gator. I then tried to short Tesla. And then that only made it worse because it didn't, they spread those options out so far, and the volatility, it didn't matter if you got it right, you were getting screwed.
It was
Totally didn't
PI. It
matter.
was like you
You were
went
getting
on
screwed.
luck or you're screwed.
You were getting screwed. So I made my problem worse. And then like, okay, all right, I need to like step back. Just like you said, Gator, I'm not making this money back. Just like, don't dig yourself in a really bad hole now. You're like, my money's gone. And yeah, you got to do that little loop thing. And I should have actually gotten away from my desk, but I didn't. But I did catch myself once I tried to make the money back a few times shorting, and that wasn't working. And it was just, but then I started thinking, wait a minute, how much is this news really going to hurt the company? I mean, this has got nothing to do with Tesla as a company. And like, how's this going to hurt their business? So anyway, I just like stayed off of it until it started to stabilize. And then when it started going back up after it already had gotten, stabilized and the options were back to normal, I was able to chip away with small size. It'd be very tempted when you have a big loss like that to just slam something with a bunch of size and make it all back quickly. But like, so you don't want to do that usually. And I was able to chip away probably about 80, 90%, not almost like 90%, almost 100% of that loss from that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I was happy with that. I'm like, okay, I don't need to make it all back. I don't need to, like, I'm happy with this. This is great. But that's, yeah, that happens, as many times as we are in a stock, things like that can happen. And I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen more. Knock on wood, hope it doesn't, when you're just, you're just in a stock so many times, it's out of your control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can wreck you, and this is just part of the game. And if you're gonna trade, this is part of the game. Like, this has never happened to me before. It might even be a bad trade, and I trade in the money. So as a random thing for you guys, this contract was working all day, and I was getting good PI, not scam PI, but really good PI. And I was like, I had no reason not to trade this one, and the spreads were more. That's how I trade. I usually trade way in the money, and I trade in the spreads. And I let PI do the work for me when it comes to scalping later day moves and different stuff. Just my style. It works for me very well. Not for everybody. But in a sense, I can handle this loss and come back from it mentally. But if you're going to be trading, something like this can happen. And if you're taking size or stuff and you're not recognizing and you think you can walk away from a trade or just hold something, you have no idea what the market can do. Like, yeah, this is a once in whenever time, but hey, it happened, and I'm literally showing you, my $8,000, $7,000 loss here. So it can happen, and it happened to a lot of people in this room because we trade Tesla a lot. And the question is, how do you come back from it? Like what Rose is saying, what I said, one way is you just never, like, you just log out early in the day. But if you are trading and you come from this, like, for the two of you, when you've had these losses, because you've had them, because this is important for people to understand and hear, what do you tell yourselves? And Rose, you kind of said it, and we'll come back to you, but CT, when you have stuff like this, what do you do? Like, are you just done? Are you like, how do you recover that tilt, and how did you kind of get to the point to where you can do that?
Well, for me, the probably what I would do in this situation, if it was good trading and I thought I could chip away, I would probably do what Rose was talking about, like tearing down and just chipping small contract size, because I think after a loss like that, you got to be careful about your psychology and your decision making. So tearing down, obviously. And also something that, that we've talked about before, Gator, is about like framing maybe not, framing your success in a bigger time frame. Like if that did take your whole day away, let's say, I know it didn't, but let's say for the sake of an example
Mm-hmm.
that it took your whole day away. You know what? I think about how my week was going or how my month was going, and just frame it like that. Get myself back in a positive mindset. And if it didn't look like a day that was conducive to making it back, I would just log off. So
Yep.
that's yeah.
And you could definitely. I don't think that's. I agree with that because that's one thing that was there that was different. So the day was super good. I'll drop Rose out until she comes back in. But the day was super good. So it was like, hey, you've been trading good. Even before this, like you were doing fine. This was a good day. If it was a bad day, the best thing for me to have done would have been to log the heck off. The only reason I didn't, and I probably didn't trade for about 5 or 10 minutes after I decided to stop and reset. And then I looked, and Tesla was continuing its breakout pattern, continuing to bounce off moving average. So it was like, okay, you can continue this trade. But if it wasn't there, the best thing to do would have been to log out. And I think the key there is it cannot be about the money. It has to be about trading. How are you trading? Are you trading really good? Is this a bad month? Is this making you tilt? Can you get over it? Like I emotionally got over this quickly. Am I still caught up on making the money back, or did I leave? Like I literally said it out loud. I'm like, hey, cost of doing business. You're not gonna get the money back. It just, you know, you lost it, dude. Like it is what it is. Just laugh at it, and it hurts and it sucks. But it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you
Well, and
gonna?
luckily this happened late in the day after you were up a good amount of money
Yeah.
because um, like for the sake of example, think about if this happened, 20 minutes into trading and you went huge red on the day, that's when you're going to have to ask yourself, like, you know what, you might not be making this money back. So
Mm-hmm.
is it a good day to chip away at it, or is it a good day to walk away and come back fresh the next day? And you got to think about those things when something like this happens.
Yep. And to Peacock's question, the first person that asked one in here earlier in the YouTube, he asked if like we find the FOMO and the logging out early hard and stuff like that. And we'll start going through some questions. But he asked if it was hard to do that. Yes, but it's gotten easier because I've practiced that whole FOMO. Like I go golfing in the middle of the week for a reason, and I do jujitsu in the middle of the week for a reason, like in the middle of the trading day. I'm not going and doing that just to do it, although I love it. I also am training myself to actually get the heck away from the market. It's like,
That's a
yeah,
great point because I know that when I was really developing that habit of like making money and leaving, I had a very rigid routine of like, look, I'm going to make money. I'm going to turn off my computer. I'm going to go up to the mountains and ride my bike. And like that's what I would do every single day. And I think that for those of you who are wondering how you develop these habits, like what you're talking about with having like BJJ or having like golf or whatever, find something you enjoy doing that you wouldn't be able to otherwise do with like a regular job. Like find a weekday activity that you like doing and make it your goal every day to get off the computer and go do that thing. And if you do that for 6 months, a year, 18 months, however long it takes, you're going to like, that's going to help you get away from that FOMO mentality. And when you're off doing something you enjoy, you're going to think about the money you made and how you've got all this freedom to enjoy your day and what a great job this is you have and all those things through repetition. That's going to be how you get to the point where you manage your FOMO and have the ability to walk away.
and I do it partially. So Peacock, you're saying like you meant the whole day. That's how I got to the point of being cool with taking a whole day off apart from something. It's like I incrementally did it. It's like, hey, I'm leaving it 30 minutes in today. Hey, I'm leaving it this. And it just built up over time to where it's like now I'm just like, yeah, I'm good with um like logging off. It's like I'm cool. I'm cool with not trading. It's not like I like it. Like this week I would have hated not to trade any because I knew how good the market was, but the
Peacock,
practicing that. Yeah, go ahead.
you just have to do it. You just have to force yourself to do it. And the more days you take off, the more you realize it's all fucking good. I'm sorry, I gotta stop
No,
cursing
you're
on your
good.
videos, dude. It's fine. But you're gonna come back and you're gonna get back to trading. I don't know how else you do it other than force yourself to do it, and you realize the world isn't, it's fine.
The world isn't
Your people
trade.
are gonna have, yeah, people are gonna have stories about bad days. People are gonna have stories about good days. You missed them all, and you have to train yourself to take days off. I don't think it's healthy to have like this addiction to the market where you feel like you can't be away from it. That's not a way to live your life.
Or when you're mad that you're away from it. Like, you
Yeah.
should learn to like be off and be like, yo, this is sweet. It's like I just tell myself when I'm golfing, it's like I could be losing money, and that's just what I say. It's like, well, I screwed that shot up, and but hey, I could be losing money, and it's like little stuff like that. I got choked out like 15 times, but I could be losing money, and it's just like little things where you start training yourself, and then you take a day off that you don't even have to take off. It's like I'm gonna do work around the house, and you just like train yourself to enjoy it, and that's the only way to do it. I agree with CT. And it's not easy. It's
Oh
definitely
no,
not easy.
that was something I struggled with big time when
Super.
once I started. Yeah, that was it. That was a huge struggle for me. So we make it sound like it's easy, but it took a lot of work, and it's not something you're gonna develop that skill overnight. It's gonna take a lot of repetition and a lot of practice.
Probably one of the harder things I've had to do. Like, one of the harder things. Like, I feel like my wife would rather not have me. She would rather me trade for 30 minutes and leave than she would me just be off all day. Like back in the day. Maybe even now. It's just like, wanted to trade today. It's like, why are we doing this? This is boring. Whatever it is. Like, I feel like that sometimes. Just skimming through some comments because I know some people threw some questions in. And then, Rose, I'll pop you back up when you're ready. Let's see. Just skimming through some comments to see if there's anything. Oh, so Gomu, Gumu, Gomu. You asked that you noticed if setups. Also, guys, I'm not looking at Discord. Don't have it pulled up, so the only way I can see you is through YouTube. So CT or somebody else, if y'all see him there. Y'all
Oh
can't
yeah,
hear.
yeah,
We
none
can't
of
see
us can see
Discord
Discord
tonight,
tonight.
so we can't see Discord. Comments are all in YouTube. Comment in YouTube if you want us to see what you say. Who asked? Sorry, so you asked that you noticed today setups were called out, but Gator wasn't making in and out calls like Thursday. You say Gator does it direct. I'm not going to say anything. When you make those calls, so today, one, I didn't trade long today. I'm like, we're showing our house next week. I'm going to Georgia next week for a wedding. I'm showing my house next week. I have a crap ton to get ready, this house ready to do. It's like I'm running in. It's like I'm trading and I'm gone. I'm trading and I'm gone. And today, Booth had some of us muted. We were talking over each other. I didn't disagree with like his call outs or Mitchell's calls out. And usually, how we work in the Discord room is we're all kind of like we're a team. So it's like we play off of each other. So CT is playing off of me. I'm playing off of him. He's saying something. We're agreeing. Rose is saying something. Booth, other people. So if everyone else is making great calls and like they're like, I like this Mark V, and then someone else says it's like, I'm not jumping in and saying it. You don't need my voice to call it. Usually I'm saying I'm in, I'm out. Hey, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that. I do that when nobody else is on because you guys are in the Discord, you're listening to us. Like, I want to give you value for, I mean, you don't pay anything, but I want to give you value for being in there with us. So I talk a little bit more. I'm like, hey guys, I'm looking at this setup. I like this here. Hey, I'm in right here. Hey, I'm looking to get in here. Hey, I'm getting out about here. So you guys understand what I do. So when we come back to the end of the day, and I tell you a million times, don't follow me. I'm just telling you what I do. If you follow me, you're going to lose. Next week, I'm pulling up my P&L, and I'm only going to show you my losses on the day. $50 says I might have $100,000 worth of losses a day, guys. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But think about it. If I take 100 trades, 200 trades, and Rose, you want on? I can see you. Do you want on? All right, I'll pull you back on. And I can't hear you if you're saying anything. You might be muted.
No,
Okay,
I'm
you're good
good.
now. All right. So, I don't know what I take. So you can't just follow me into trades. There's a reason I do what I do and I talk how I do. And It's so you can understand what I'm looking at, so you can see. But the same way other people do it when they're talking, it's not about directly following me. It's to give you an idea of what I'm looking at. This is my trade. This is that I'm trying to be transparent with what I do. So the only reason I didn't do it today, there was no reason to do it today. We had other commentary. Commentary was working. Commentary was good. The calls were good. The moves were happening. You didn't need me to be like, I'm looking at this level. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping out. I love doing the commentary. I love doing it. But if everybody's talking, I'm not giving commentary. If Rose is calling out something here, CT is calling out something else, Mitchell's calling out something, two or three people are on, I'm not stepping, like, it's not the Gator room. Like, I'm just one of several people who contribute to the incredible community we have here. So I contribute when I need to contribute, and I try to contribute less when, like, if everybody else is saying the same thing, you don't need my voice. I might just be like, yeah, I agree. So that's the short answer.
Um,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Rose.
you guys were doing great. So I didn't say hardly anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think I said much yesterday too. And you guys were mostly focused on Tesla, and that's where I was focused. I mean, if I was doing Amazon and doing really good on Amazon, then maybe I would throw that in because no one's talking about Amazon. But yeah, I know some people like to trade that one. But if we're all just doing Tesla, and we're all pretty much kind of looking at the same thing and taking the same setups. I mean, you guys were doing so good. I'm like, I don't need to say anything. It was like, great. I don't have to say anything. But so yeah.
Yeah, and usually that's what we do. It's like if you only hear one person talking or two about something, like we're probably just doing the same thing. Like if I did a trade review show and CT watches his video, he's like, I was trading the same stuff as you, dude. Like that one time you did or something.
Yeah, so many times we have like all the same entries and exits, even though we're not talking about it.
We're so similar in how we trade. That's kind of why we do this together. So there's no reason, like Rose is saying, for us all to do it. Now, if we're all trading different names, we're letting you know that all these are working. If I'm like, hey, I'm doing Google, and Rose is like, I'm doing Amazon, and CT's like, I'm just hitting Tesla. These 920s are awesome, or whatever contract. Hey, there's some different stuff working. And if you're used to hearing us talk, you kind of know what we're looking for. You kind of know how we trade this name. So you kind of can adjust off of that. And that's kind of what I was doing, and just to throw on how the Discord works and kind of what we do. You know, we don't all talk. Some days I say little. Well, I talk more, but sometimes I don't say as much. Sometimes Rose does, and we kind of flip flop.
And we've got actually an interesting question in chat here on
Yeah.
YouTube, which is it's a new trader who's asking whether we think they should just observe what we're doing and whatnot rather than trying to actually be trading. And ultimately, and like that's what I'm trying to do when I'm on the mic is I'm trying to explain to you what I'm looking at and what I like about things and what I don't like about things. I'm not here to say, ooh, I'm jumping in, I'm jumping out. I'm trying to help you understand the way I view the market so that you can view the market. You can maybe get some value from that and learn how to find your own entries and exits. Because we've said it a million times before, you are never going to make money just following somebody else's entries and exits. What you need to do is you need to listen to how people are looking at things, understand what they're looking at, and see if you can see the same thing and incorporate that into your own style.
Yep. And so if you come into the Discord room with us and drop a comment after the video is done, I'll send you a post to it. We have videos and a Google Drive explaining what we do, showing what we do, why we do it. Watch the educational video, watch the stuff, learn it. Ask us questions, send us emails, try to identify the names. And we're not giving you advice. We're not telling you what to do. It's up to you. If we were talking to ourselves as a new trader, I would say take a month or two to get acclimated and learn. See if what we do is worth your time. Not the money side, but like, can I do this? Okay, then I'm going to pick one thing. I'm going to watch the strategy videos, and I'm going to pick one strategy, maybe two. And I'm going to learn those like the backside of my hand to where in my sleep I could call it out and name it. And then I'm going to start trading it, and I'm going to get really good at it. And then from there, you kind of progress. So build that little base. This is me talking to myself in one or two things. and then begin to grow. Especially like Praveen just said, I didn't read some of the other comments, but especially in scalping, you can't do everything. A few things, don't worry about the money, worry about getting proficient, and then build your repertoire from there if you're going to be a scalper like we are. We are hyper scalpers. That's what we do. For the most part, we scalp names 30 seconds, 5 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes sometimes. It's rare that we're in names for more than that. It's very rare.
Another question here asking about how do you adapt to the speed that's necessary. I've talked about this a lot of times before. I spent about 8 months when I first started trading, doing very small tiers where I couldn't get hurt and just doing tens of thousands of trades over the course of those eight months. And you just get really, really fast. You spend enough time watching the tape, watching the level 2 that you learn how to process that and execute simultaneously, without hesitation. And it's just practice. It's time in the chair. You just have to put in the time. And some people, they might be able to do it in a few months. Some people, it might take 2 years. Everybody's different. And it doesn't mean, just because people progress at different paces doesn't mean, there's no judgment there. You just have to take the time to learn how to do it. And this is not something you're going to learn overnight. You really have to put in a lot of work to learn how to do this.
Yeah. I can't remember, Rose, how long you did it. For me, it was like I started and I pretty much started and like it took me about 8 months to become doing this to where it was like, I was good. I took time doing 5 contracts, 10 contracts in Apple, which was different back then than now, and just kind of progressed. But I'm a more aggressive personality. I'm just kind of jump in and see what happens. It's like jump in, here we go, all in. Not like with the aggressive size, but just like something I was comfortable with, and I found something I was comfortable with, and I just continued to work with that. But yeah, there's no right or wrong. Some people take 2 years. Some people take 2 months. There's not a right or wrong answer for the time it takes you. But if you have that big picture view on where you want to be 5 years from now and the time you're taking to get there, you'll be okay. Just start learning something and see how quickly you pick stuff up.
And also really like make note of the way I see the market. It's like the casino. And the longer you're in it, the more the house is going to win. The longer you play poker, or you're at the casino, longer you spend the wheel, the odds are overall the house is going to win. So that's the market. You have the spread against you. You have the different things against you. However, there are these strategic windows of opportunity in which you have the odds in your favor. And if you can identify those windows of opportunity and limit your trading to those windows, you're already like halfway there. Because if you don't know the difference between when you should be trading or in the market and when you shouldn't be, and all things look equal to you, you've got a long ways to go. Because the longer you're in the market, the longer you're taking trades overall, the market's going to win. But you're strategic. And it's these strategic windows that are a bigger window and then littler windows, which we might call the setups, within that bigger window. And that's when you want to trade. And when that window closes, you want to just like shut it down. And sometimes that's really hard to do. But at least learn to start to recognize when those are, what the signs of them look like. And this is like reading the tape, volume, ATR, follow through, the choppy, that sort of stuff. But those are the windows, the window, those are the signs of when the window is not there, and then the signs when the window is there. And just make note of that, and then make sure you see that every day. Like, yeah, I can see these trades work here, and here they're not working, and that's extremely important.
Rose, the casino analogy is interesting because something that I think people need to remind themselves of, you talk about the house always wins, or, you spend there long enough, you're going to give your money back. Everybody who does this and who's new to this needs to remind themselves that some of the smartest people in the world, it's their job to to design computers to take your money, to trade the market. And you're up against people who have the best education and the best resources and teams of people who are incredibly talented programming these things and trading manually. And we're always going to be at a disadvantage. We just don't have those resources. So identifying those windows of opportunity when we have the ability to get some money and get out is super important. So you're just constantly remind yourself, do you think like the billionaires, do you think that they have teams of MIT engineers working on their algos to try to take our money? They do. So, and we're not MIT engineers, and we're certainly not the smartest people in the world. So remind yourself that from time to time and be happy when you make money.
I'm a glue drinking, like crayon eating Marine who just has a basement in his laptop with his kids trying to pull over the gate so they can unplug all of his cords. And I'm trying to beat MIT people and all these other people designing computers. you know? So take what you can get and just be happy with it. It's true. Ronnie Kirby asked, unless y'all have something else to add to that, beautifully said, CT, what Tesla trade tagged you this morning?
I would have to pull that up. Let me take a look here. It was pretty early in the day, and I don't necessarily know that I can think of which candles it was, but it was one of these things where I was just buying a kind of a one and done kind of breakout, and what kept me in the trade was the fact that the Qs were ripping, and Tesla was just not doing what I needed it to do, and I kind of
breakout early where it didn't break out and it sat there and then dropped like 5 points.
I think it was probably God. What was it here? I might have bought in on the. Is my screen up right now?
No,
I guess Rose's don't wait. Let me try to.
I'll just put your screen up without us, so all they can see now is your screen without us on it.
I think it might have been like I was buying this breakout here, and it came up and went down, and I was like, you know what, the Qs are ripping. I'm just going to sit in this. Like this could be continuation because I feel like the Qs at that point.
Yep, they were.
They were. I mean, I don't know. I won't pull it up, but I feel like the Qs were going, and I'm like, you know what? It's just whipping around here. It's gonna go. The Qs are going.
Like that breakout was happening. I was right there with you. I actually sold at that level, but I was like when it hesitated, I sold. But I was right there with you. I was seeing the same thing you were. I think a lot of people got hurt there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been in the trade if the Qs weren't ripping. I just felt like it was just a matter of time before Tesla caught up. And it was just that stubbornness of sitting in that for too long. So I started the day with a nice fat loss because I think I finally chucked it here when we started getting load here. And honestly, after these 2 wicks, I think the IV on the options had gone down. So it wasn't just the dollar value loss. It was like the IV was not good, and probably should have been out sooner, like on this candle, honestly, with that top wick looking like that. But the Qs were ripping. And so I had a nice hole to dig myself out of today, and dug myself out, got myself small green, and shut her down. So that was my day.
There you go. Yeah, I had a feeling that I thankfully didn't, but I know some people that got hurt on that one, so hopefully,
And where was that in the day that I got tagged like that? Oh man, the first 5 minutes where I keep telling myself.
Well, people forget the IV, like your options change without it moving in price. Your options can jump a point or 2 or 5 or spread just because of the IV in the first 5 minutes, especially in a volatile name on a volatile day,
Well, yeah, I mean, the way to think about this, to explain what Gator's talking about is, yes, the price might be hanging out at that level right there, but the longer you stay in it, the more people are taking profit on their options, which is pushing down which is bringing down the asks. So even though the price isn't moving, the fact that it's not going, people are exiting positions, and you're sitting in there, and the value of those options is going down, even though the price isn't necessarily going down so much. So you get doubly tagged. You want to be out. You want to be the first out, not the last out.
Rose is sitting there selling her contracts to you.
I definitely did see that Tesla had a relative weakness overall than to the Qs. So the Qs were a lot stronger. And when they would go up, there was times where Tesla like, hey, you should be going up now. You should be going up, and you're not. Or it's like sort of even going down. And it's like, well, Tesla definitely was first, especially the first few hours of the market. But I know there was a time there when Tesla started dropping today. We were on the put side, and then it reversed, and then we're going back on the call side. At least I was. And I noticed that even though I was catching a nice movement in Tesla, those calls were not moving in sync with the movement of the stock price. And I've noticed that before, like there's times when the IV is more, if it's just reversing direction. So let's say we're dropping. Okay, the puts are working great and you're getting good fills, you're getting good IV in the puts. And then it's like starts to reverse and you go to calls, those calls when it's had just coming from having dropping, those calls do not behave. There's times when they just don't behave like normal, the way they should be. So if Tesla was running up and then we have a Mark 1 setup or something, we do calls, there's a certain behavior we expect them to do when Tesla jumps $1, $2. But I've noticed that a lot of times that changes after when we're switching directions. So when we come from going down and now we're going up, Tesla jumps $2 and I'm looking at my calls and they haven't moved.
Yeah, Rose, so I've thought about that a lot, Rose. That's a great point, which I think that people need to keep in mind is that I've found personally that when you're trading in the direction of the broader trend, like the intraday trend, you always make more money versus trying to catch like a quick reversal that's counter trend. It's with options anyways. It's a lot harder to make money on counter trend scalps than it is on when you're trading with the trend. I don't know if Gator, if you found that to also be the case.
I agree. Without a doubt, it's very rare unless we hit a big level of support, that I take counter trend trades because the risk is so much more that trend continues just randomly. Like, okay, well, I'm going down now or I'm going up now. And it's just not worth it unless you hit something that's really pushing you in the other direction.
Especially in the beginning of the counter trend. When it's just like starting to reverse directions, and sometimes you just know it's going to do that, and you want to take that trade. And there was a few of those I did, and I was catching like 2 point moves on Tesla, but I was lucky to make 10 cents on my options. I'm like, whoa, this is just not worth it.
It's like the PI isn't good. It's like they don't want you to. It's just like it's just not there.
Well, what I really think at the root of this problem is that. Like I've talked about this before, and I think we've talked about this before, Gator, is that we are trading micro time frames, and when your micro time frame scalp is also has time frame continuity with broader time frames, your scalps are always going to work better and you're going to make more money and there's more chance of follow through. So if Tesla has a huge red candle on the daily chart and it's just been doing nothing but dropping all day, and you try to, like, how many people who trade daily candles do you think are like, oh, this seems like a good time to go along, this huge red daily candle? Like, no, dude, you want to be trading when people are FOMOing into the momentum. That's when we're going to catch the most money. When you're like, it might be working on a 1 minute time frame, but the people who are trading bigger time frames are like, why the hell would I be buying here? And so you want to be scalping in the direction that the higher time frame traders are also trading in if you want to really.
Yeah, That's a really good point, CT. That's a really good point. That the higher time frame traders are be like, no, we've just been going down the last 15, okay, so now we've only been going up the last 5, whatever it is, that there's a difference. That's a really good point. And even though you're catching the moves, it doesn't mean it's going to be that easy to capitalize on that. That's a really good point, because
it might work with common stock, but more effectively than with options. But with options, I think you always do better trading with time frame continuity on bigger time frames.
And what I've noticed in that is I think sometimes it could work, but I'm used to what it looked like when it was running in the direction I was trading. So I'm used to like that 2 minute pop. That's 2 points or whatever, whatever it is. Like you're used to making a certain amount. The counter trend, doesn't necessarily give you that same reward for the move. So even if it worked, it doesn't feel like it's working. And so it throws me off because it throws my rhythm of kind of like what I'm doing, and it's like, oh, like and I'm still looking at the trend and the overall time frame, and I'm like, 15 minutes. This looks so bearish. Like I don't want to hold, and I don't trust it enough to trade it intelligently. And the move doesn't, because the move doesn't pay me like the other move does. I don't trade it as well, and I'm just not as good at trading it. So I just kind of like, okay, I'm not as good at trading it, and I generally leave those alone. I think I was trying to call them out, but for some reason, I wasn't today. But like I was like, I'm not like when the counter trend was happening. I'm like, no, I like this short. I like this short, and early on in it, and I waited for a breakdown short because I knew that breakdown short would pay me, as opposed to that uptrend. Even if it continued, I didn't think I was going to be able to make as much in it. So I was okay with waiting for my level to hit and then short it, as opposed to trying to catch every move up, because those moves seem to be, like y'all are saying, more choppy.
Yeah, and I think that you see like Geronimo, for instance, when he's trading, range moves up and down and up and down. What's he trading? He's trading common stock, so it doesn't. He's not worried about the IV. He's just scalping the actual dollar and cent, or the pennies that it's moving. And I'm sure that in a counter trend, if you were trading common and able to limit out, you could probably exploit them a lot better than you can when you're marketing in and out and you're trading options.
Yeah. And Chase, to what you said a little bit ago, like you said that like you lose on all JR's plays and stuff and news flow. Stop playing them. Like just flat out. They're hard to play, and he makes money because he knows how to make money doing it. He's very good at what he does. I have an overall win rate even after that loss on Geronimo's calls, especially even the news flow when I choose to take it. But there's a way to play it. It's not easy to play. It can be very difficult, and your biggest wins and losses are always going to be with news flow names. And he wins because of what CT says a lot of times. He's taking common, and he hasn't probably an account and the size to where he can take common and just set stops and limits, and he has hotkeys set up on his keyboard. So like as he's calling it out to us, by the time you can get over there, he's in a position and getting ready to get out. That doesn't
like
mean,
he's already got limit orders in while you're entering. So you might be, I mean, he has a completely different way of trading common than we do. Mm-hmm. And he has, the ability to hotkey limits and trailing, so many things that we just don't have the ability to do in Fidelity or E-Trade. So, and I will say, I just don't take news flow. And so don't feel like there's anything wrong with you if you don't play the news flow plays. Trust me, people lose money on those a lot. You're always going to remember the wins that you missed out on or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with not taking news flow. You can make a great living without news flow.
I do not take news flow. I think I might take one news flow out of, I don't know, maybe 60 or 100. I think I took one. Last one I remember, I actually had time to get everything set up, and it was one that I was already trading. Had been trading it all day, so everything was already preloaded. And then there was plenty of time with it. And I knew how the news flow was actually going to affect it. And that's like the only one I do. Normally, I just avoid them because I'm not set up for it. I don't have the speed. I don't have the entry time. I don't have the experience. And for me, I lose more than I make often with those. And I just don't want that toxicity. So I don't even do news flow.
What I would say is something to remember in news flow is like a lot of times when you get these huge wicks, like on a long, you might get a huge wick at the top of it. And somebody got filled up there at the top of that wick, and it was probably somebody who had a limit order in up there, because you'll see it just blip up and down like faster than you can even milliseconds essentially. Like those are people with limit orders getting filled and making money. And if you're trying to click out and catch that, it's not going to happen. So you need to I think to really succeed at that, like having hockey set up where you can set up limits once you're immediately in to start catching those, that's super important. And I know some people do it without that, but personally, I think that the people who really do well in news flow and catch these like pops like that have the ability to set limits really, really fast.
There is, I'm sorry, Gator.
No,
There is the time I'll do news flow is when you know it's going to like make the stock run all day and not just that initial pop. And then I'll catch it on the second move. So it like pops up and then we'll have like a Mark 1 setup and consolidation. And then, then I can trade it. But that first initial move, I'm not even trying to catch that. Mm-hmm. But you got to be careful that even with that it's going to hold and that this is like really solid news and that the stock isn't just going to come right back down. So that's even more dangerous. But once it kind of proves itself and you just know like, oh, this is major news and this stock's going to like run all day, then you can try to catch that subsequent move.
Yeah, I've learned, and it's not like I'm great at it. I do more news flow than y'all probably, but not lately. But there's like a tone. It's like with Mark, I knew his tone. It was like I ignored 90%, but there's a tone I listen for in Geronimo's voice. And I recognize the tone to the news flow of when it works. And so I'm sitting there and it's like, usually when he calls something, unless I'm in something, I just go to it because I practice moving quickly. So when he says a name, even though I have no intention on trading it, unless I recognize the name, I just go to it. And I click the contracts, and it's just kind of like practicing that. Geronimo says something, I go there. And then occasionally you see something and he says it, and it's something that makes sense to you. It's like, I don't know, I'm making something up, like, I don't know, AMD and Google partner for something. Amazon split. Oh, there you go. Amazon split. It's like I'm sitting there. He's like, Amazon split. I'm like, boom, Amazon split.
I am taking that trade. Like, I am taking that trade. I don't even care if I'm late. I'm taking it.
100 contracts, and then I'm just shutting my computer off so I can't sell them until tomorrow. Like I'm taking it. But I'm listening for a sound, like Rose said, like I'm listening for a sound in the voice, kind of. And I practice moving to the names when he talks about them. I ignore 95% of them, or I take 5 contracts or 10 shares or something just for practice. And then when there's something different, I do it differently. That's just how I do news flow. But I don't do it on hard days. I don't do it in bad markets, and I generally only do it with the trend of the market. It's like if the whole market is tanking and then some company says out, and hey, we have this great news, but everything is going negative, it's like, I'm not doing that. But if it's a super good day and then Tesla comes out and says something really great as opposed to SEC investigations, I usually will like, oh, this is good news, and I'll take the trade. So I take different things into account, and that's just how I trade news flow and different stuff like that. And you just have to understand, this is why on a bigger picture, why I do these shows and I show videos of my trades, and Rose and CT come on talk and we kind of talk about it. I want you to understand how I trade. So when you hear me talking about stuff, you really know what I'm looking at and trying to do. And there's no BS with what I'm showing you. It's like, you see what I'm trying to do. I could care less if you see me winning or losing. I want you to know what I'm trying to do, so when I'm calling stuff out and I'm saying something like, oh, this is probably what Gator's looking at here. He's an idiot. I'm not taking this trade. But you'll have that in your head. So just per Chase, what you said about Geronimo, like, or just about the trade, generally speaking, I know you're not saying anything about him. It is hard to win in those names. And obviously Rose and CT don't take them. A lot of people don't do news flow. You don't need to do news flow.
And somebody in chat points out that a lot of broker platforms do have the ability to program hotkeys. And like when I was on Schwab, I had hotkeys set up for, like market in, market out, short at the, sell at the ask. So, had a ton of hotkeys set up. And really depending on what you're trading, having 20 different hotkeys so you can sell at the ask plus 10, ask plus 20, ask plus 30, ask plus 40, like every name's different. So you would really have to have like to really switch from because obviously like on a $10 name, maybe you want to mark it out at the ask plus 10 cents. Or, maybe you want to limit out at the ask plus 10 cents. On a Tesla, maybe you want to mark it out or limit out at the ask plus $1. Like it would just be insanely complicated. And he has a great system. I've seen it. It's far more capable than anything that your broker that you can do with hotkeys with your broker. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say you can't many doing it, but it's for me. I'm going to focus on what I'm good at.
I could not trade news flow, and it would not hurt my overall trading ever. I'm sure, Rose, you're the same. It's like if I never traded news flow again, I'd still be a trader for the rest of my life.
Fine with me. Fine with me.
Don't get me wrong, I love it sometimes, but I don't need it. Let's talk about one final thing before we end. We're close to about an hour and 30. We want to keep this to shorter. I know we go on long. People do, whatever it is. But we want to respect people's time and, just at some point. I don't think it becomes rambling. I could talk forever. I could do a 4-hour Joe Rogan thing here. It doesn't really matter to me. But we're going to keep the show. We'll try to keep it short. I've got a little last topic. And it comes because this week was good. This week was good. So good trading can be hard. It's a different type of hard. There are difficulties that come into play when the market is good. Trading after, and I think I wrote this down because Rose said something earlier, trading after a good day. You had a really good day. Maybe CTU said it, and I thought about it because you were talking about longing Tesla at that level. You know why I wanted a long Tesla at that level? Because yesterday when I longed Tesla, when it was going for the breakout, I made freaking 7 points, and I held those contracts all day. I didn't do that. And so you come into the day. I took the Mark 1 yesterday. 5 points. I then took the one and done. Then I took the Mark 1. Then I took the 2-minute, and bam, I killed it. Okay, next day, here we go. Or I missed the move yesterday, and now I'm coming in. I'm going to slam the crap out of this today, and it's a different day, and we don't know. We don't know how the day is going to be, and we pretend that this day is the same day as the last day, that the same action is going to take place. In our mind, I'm seeing what Tesla did yesterday when I took these contracts through this level, and these are the different things that I'm naming a few things that are going through my head. My head, when I'm sitting there looking at Tesla at the open, it's like, oh, this could go. Man, I could have I just feel like buying calls and holding them all day. Obviously, it wouldn't have been a good day to do that. Yesterday, it might have. So these things are going through our head. What do y'all think? Trading on a good week. What are some difficulties? What are some things that y'all, just to give it open range, and then we'll tie it in and then tie it up before we.
Well, for me, no, Rose, go ahead.
Oh, well, sometimes like when you're just hitting it, like, boom, green trade. You just, just like, man, you just got like 9 out of 10, and you're just, sometimes when it's easy like that, and you're just trading like that, just like one after another, just boom, boom. Then the market shifts or the stock shifts directions. And now you're just like so focused, like, oh, we're just doing calls. Tesla's going. Now we have a reversal. That's when sometimes you can get a little messed up because you're got some adrenaline and you're just so focused on what been working for the last 15 minutes, and like, oh, everything's changed now. So that's what you always kind of have to be be on guard for, is just like not having that that you're like a cat and you're just being pouncing and you're pouncing and you're winning, so then all of a sudden something changes and you got to be like ready with no bias to just change on a dime with it.
That's a great point, Rose, because we know that the market does change every day. And so coming into the market on a day thinking you're going to trade it exactly the same as you did the prior day is a mistake. I'll add to that 2 things. The first is that typically when I look at my P&L historically, when I have for what's for me really big days from time to time, but it's not usually like back to back to back to back. It's usually like, oh, I had a really good day here, and then a couple days later I had a really great day. Like it's not like you're just gonna suddenly start making having huge days back to back to back to back. Like that's probably, not saying it couldn't happen, but that would be an outlier event. And the other thing to consider is that sometimes on a really easy trading day, you have a big up or a big down move. And what are big up and what are big down moves typically followed by? Digestion days. So if you keep that in mind, maybe that can help temper your enthusiasm and realize that just because yesterday had a ton of momentum, today might be a day where there's indecision because we had a huge move yesterday, and now, there's going to be some price discovery and it's going to chop around for a little bit before it reverses or continues.
Yeah,
So,
we had digestion today. Today was definitely a digestion day.
Yeah, I mean, look at this Tesla chart.
yeah, closed like what in the overnight gap range looks like from the. I mean, I could pull it up here, I suppose.
Yeah. But
So it really
basically,
didn't do
just
anything.
like gap up, down, and then just in the middle all day. Like, yeah, you had a few trades, and it's
It,
one.
it literally closed like what? How many pennies away from the opening print? What's the daily? What's this is this will be? I mean, it's a perfect doji. It opened at 809.66 and it closed at 809.87. So all day long, all that up and down, and what was it? It was 21 cents different at the end of the day.
Yep. And so that's an important. So this is important because I think this is one of the ways there. I think two ways people get wrecked on easy trading days and easy trading weeks, and they give it up. Because I think most of us had a really good week. But the three of us, and hopefully people in chat and in Discord and everything too. Two ways I've seen people lose is what you're saying. They have the wrong view of the market when they come in. They don't know what's going to happen the next day, and they think every breakout is going to look like the next day. Instead of OODA looping something, instead of looking at it and being like, hey, what am I actually looking at? Like you talked about in Tesla. What did we see there? We saw a tall wick into resistance level, and then we saw another tall wick, and then people are trying on the next candle, and then we get that breakdown. So it's like you had warning signs that were there, and I'm not saying you specifically, but it's like, oh, we think like we're trading it like what we want it to do. And now it could have gone. For sure it could have broke out. The Qs were going up at that point, I think. But it's like, was that actually a really good trade there based on all the indicators that you were looking at, or were you thinking about yesterday?
Yeah,
And
in hindsight, for sure, I definitely am harsh on my decision making process for that trade.
yeah,
Like the wicks definitely should have got me out earlier, and I was being stubborn. And yeah, especially like once it starts to look bad on the 2 minute chart, when it's not just the 1 minute chart, when it starts to look bad on the 2 minute chart, get your ass out of that trade.
and what you just said, Darian, down here, is that Thursday, and this is part of it too. That Thursday you had a great day, but then you went back and watched, and you're like, man, if I would have held longer, I would have made more money. So selling real quick was wrong. So today you come into a bad day, and you're like, I'm gonna hold longer, and you blow up. Another hard thing about trading on a good week, right? It's like you look back, you're like, man, yesterday I could have just done this. You're like looking back at the last day. No, like was it a good trade to sell quick all the time and take your money? Yes, but you're like, oh, I could have made more. And then you come in the next day, today I'm gonna make more. As soon as you sit down in your chair and you think that, yo, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like, I've done it. I'm telling you because I've done it. I'm sure Rose, like, it's just I know this is like so common with people when they're trading on a good week and they get wrecked in good weeks. That is a very common occurrence. You're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember I think it was I don't know, I think it was last month or maybe it was earlier this month. I think it was this month. I had one of my best days of this year, which wasn't really great because this year has been kind of sucky for anyway. But and then I followed it up with the next day that was just terrible, terrible. And in retrospect, it was just like what you're saying, Gator. I was way too aggressive and I had too much size for the conditions that we were in because I was rewarded yesterday for it. And then the next day I paid for it. So I was, I didn't adjust. I was biased to be from the previous day and I didn't adjust coming in fresh with getting everything out of your system from yesterday and just like going back into like, okay, I'm just going to literally reset and start from the beginning, start from the beginning. And sometimes that's hard to do, but the more you practice that and, and really look at it fresh, that this is totally new environment, totally new day, totally new this, and, you really have to practice that.
I have to force myself to do it every day. Like if I have a good day, I have to like at the end of the day, I have to do everything I can to forget about it and the next day sit down and like as I'm sitting down looking through charts, it's almost like I verbally will tell myself like I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm not looking at this, not looking at this. I'm gonna like, hey, I'm gonna trade what I see, and it's like I just have to reiterate it one way or another.
And for me, I can get sloppy. I get if I have like a bunch of really good days, I get sloppy and I'll get loose where I'll just like take more trades that aren't really good setups just for the sake of taking trades because I feel like I've got room. I feel like I have cushion. Like I can be less disciplined and take more risk. It's not really the right mindset, and I definitely can find I can tend to getting sloppy. And there's certain times when you can get away with it. You can just bend and just get away with being very undisciplined, and you don't get hurt really bad, or then the market can shift. And if you do the slightest thing out of line, you are getting screwed, and you're getting like punished every time. But then there's those times when you don't get punished. So that's the tricky thing. You have to like, okay, I got away with this before, and then like you have to really let it click in your head, like, oh, I'm not getting away with this now. I can't do this anymore. I have to. It's not the same conditions. I have to be, really on point.
Mm-hmm. And in these, go ahead.
Well, I think that the reason why we're able to make money every day or most every day is because whereas, like the algos and whatnot, they have a fixed set of parameters, and we are, I think, able to adapt faster than they can in some situations where we have an infinite amount of variables in our, not maybe not an infinite amount, but as humans, we have we have the ability to adapt on the fly, I think, a lot faster than some of the fixed algos do. So remember that and take advantage of that. And, don't keep doing something if it stops working, and catch yourself early when it stops working so that you can step back, get your OODA loop flowing, and find something that is working. Tear down real quick, find something that works, then get back up. Adapt and be constantly adapting because it's always different. Every day is different. If you think every day, there's never 2 days that are exactly the same.
No.
I want to answer 2 questions in chat. Blademan says, do you withdraw your gains daily to help with that? That definitely can be extremely helpful, and keeping your account at a certain level, whatever that is that's right for you. And then when you grow your account, take your money out. Either there was a time when I think daily or weekly, I think daily, every time my account got above a certain amount, I wanted to grow my account at that time. I was taking half that money out. I was like, okay, every time it reaches here, I take this much out. Every time it gets there, I take this much out. Or on my daily gain, sometimes you take like half your money out. Or if your account is where you like it, then you just take all your money out. I think that's very helpful, especially in difficult times, because it can be a check for you, especially if you keep your account kind of on the lower side of just not getting a little too crazy, where you get these urges to, you're having a bad day or you're frustrated and you just want to slam something and you can't do it because you don't have the buying power. You're like, oh, I'm trying to buy 20 contacts. And, oh, I can't do it. It tells me I don't have the buying power. All right. That's tilt prevention. You just got, so that can be helpful. The other question, when Chase asks, I have a question on Amazon. What exactly do you require at entry on the level 2 times in sales? Well, first off, I have to say, I traded Amazon last year, almost exclusively. It was 90% of my trades. It was 90% of my income. It was, for me, my little goose that lay in a golden egg. And I just was Amazon. Like literally, it was more than 90% of my trades were Amazon, like 95%. Um, this year, I 95% of my trades have been Tesla, and I haven't taken that many trades in Amazon. And I don't know, there's been a shift in the way Amazon trades for me. And there's been a shift in a lot of what I did with Amazon that made it work was going a little bit in the money on the calls. And even there's a spread of getting really good fills and good price improvement with the volatility. I haven't found that that's so easy now. I'm still getting some, okay fills. But what I was doing last year with it, so what I would look for, let me try to actually answer your question. On the level 2 times in sales, I would look for a speeding up of the momentum. It always was with momentum. And do you enter purely on momentum for Amazon when the Qs is doing the same thing? Absolutely. Absolutely. What I would look for on Amazon is a divergence, or not really a divergence, a delay in the Qs and the momentum. So the Qs would have like a pretty big spike, and you look at Amazon, okay, we're on an upward trend, but we haven't really moved very much, or we're just starting to move. And then when you see the times in sales start to speed up, and if the Qs jump up, I am just in that trade. I am in that trade. And then you have to wait and give it a little bit of time to catch up. And usually, I could make a point, 2 points, 3 points, especially when we're getting those moves. Amazon hasn't for me, and again, I know Amazon's made, let me pull up a chart of it right now. I know Amazon has made some good moves the last few days, but I've been so focused on Tesla, I haven't really been doing these moves on Amazon. I've just been on Tesla. And so I've found also, though, and maybe it's because of where Amazon's in its daily chart on the cycle. Let me look at a daily here.
I pulled one up on mine.
21.
Or you can look at your own, but
okay.
You can see it, but
okay, where are we? So the 8. Yeah,
spider webs.
We're yeah, February. We've had some good movements there on the daily chart, but it's just not trading. The look since November. November was the last time I really had a lot of success in Amazon. Was in November, and we were still on kind of like this upward trend, and then we kind of peaked at November 19th, and then look at the end of November and December, much smaller candles, just kind of like downward trending, consolidating, and then we have this big down move in January. And I think in this move, I was mostly focused on Tesla on the downward side, and then we had a little rebound here in February, and now so. It's hard for me to give you an up-to-date how Amazon is trading because I haven't taken a whole lot of trades in it to really know. Now, I did try to take, I think, one trade today, but there just wasn't enough volume or momentum in it when I was doing it, and I'm just like, this is not worth it. If I was exclusively focused on it, I could give a better answer. But one thing I have noticed is the options seem to be spread a little bit more than they were last year. And the options, the times I did trade it this year, the options seem to just not be as nice or as friendly as they were the previous last year. It's like another thing with Amazon is when you're in that bull market and you have the IV on these options, sometimes it's just like pure money. That with Amazon, you can get this IV along with the PI on the fills when you're getting that momentum push, and it's just literally like you can just click buy and then you can just click sell and you're going to make a point. That's how it was last year, and I haven't found it to be that easy this year. So that's hopefully that helps you.
Hopefully it'll come back at some point.
Yeah, I miss my Amazon. I do. I miss my baby.
Yeah, it'll come
Well,
back one day.
it was holding up relatively well there, like trading like range bound for but trading in a channel there for pretty much all of last year, and it really did kind of break down out of that channel. So the one of the things with Amazon that I found is that it's like we were talking earlier, you have to realize real fast when something's not working. Like if I take two trades in Amazon that don't work, on my third trade I'm tearing down, and that's it. Like I will take three trades in Amazon, but if I take three losses in a row, I'm done with it for the day. Like there's days when it works and where it's just an ATM machine, and there's days where you just got to step away, and that can change at any point during the day too. Like you can be printing money for 15 20 minutes straight, then all of a sudden it just stops working, and you need to be able to like step away.
That's when that human factor comes in, and you gotta grab that human factor and be like, this ain't it. And but when when your ego gets tied up in that, or like you're like, no, I got this, and you're just like so tunnel visioned into it, it's hard to step away. If you can, you're gonna be great. If you can't, you get sucked in, and it's something you have to train yourself out of. But yeah,
the worst is when you're I'm just making money on every one of these trades. You know what? I'm gonna double my tier size real quick, and that's the one that gets you.
Done. It's like, man, if I was just taking 10 contracts, I'd be good. I'd be like, whatever. I'm gonna do 10 contracts, and then you lose the spread, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, like when you're micro tiered because it's midday and you're just printing and printing and printing. And you're like, you know what? This is working pretty well. Let me go ahead and double, triple my tier, and then that's the one that gets you.
Sometimes micro tiering you make more because just excuse me, you're taking less size, like the bind, like you get better fills. The more size you take, the more risk you take of getting worse fills, because just the amount of options that are being sold and being bought. But it's deceptively dangerous. Amazon's a very hard name. I don't think I've made very little money in it this year, and I did pretty good in it last year.
Yeah, same.
It's just changed for me anyway. It's just changed.
Yeah.
Yep. Same experience for everyone.
And Tesla traded for and changed for a while. Like in January, we said, "Hey, we're not trading it," and what? None of us traded it for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, it was like, "Okay, I'm trading Tesla now," and it was just money, and and then it slows down a little bit, and it comes back, and I mean,
Tesla definitely goes through periods where it's on my do not trade list for like maybe days or weeks at a time, and then and then it's back. So
but when it's back, it's like you do it. It's like you said that like 3 trade rule, or a few trades, and it's like, oh, this is it. It was like this week, I had no doubt in my trading. It was like, I got this. It was just like instant, like 2020. It felt like it wasn't like you can't lose, like you definitely could, but it was like, I got this. And it was like, I sat down, I could call them, like the trading review video I did, the other stuff. It was just like every day I was just sitting there, I was like, boom, boom, boom. And I just knew I could make money. For the last 2 weeks before that, it wasn't that. It was difficult. It was hard. I had to focus and really work on my range and like learning, like Rose said earlier, I learned a ton during those 2 weeks, but it was a difficult 2 weeks. Thankfully, I didn't get wrecked, and this week made my month, and that's what my goal is going into next month. I know when Monday will be next month. Monday will be the last day of this month, but going into next month is like same goal as this month. I had a really good week last. I'm going to go into next week and next month just smart trading, feel the market out, kind of go forward slowly, and we can kind of wrap up with this. I'm just going to go forward slowly. And hey, if the market wants to rally now or go down, I'm just going to wait and see, and I'm going to trade what's in front of my face. I'm going to take some smart trades. I'm going to trade the charts, and we'll see what happens. I'm not. I'm not going to pretend it was this week. The worst thing I can do is wake up Monday and pretend it's this week. Worst thing I could do. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and when Tesla was like really difficult, the last 2 weeks, or the last week, 2 weeks after this previous week we just had, that's when you need to have like another stock or another something that you can do, and not just be bent and so focused and so addicted to only trading a name that's not working, and a name that's been really difficult because you got rewarded on it the previous week. And just, again, preserve your capital So when it does start working again, which it will, then you're not just recovering from losses of trying to make something work that was just really difficult. So it's we can get so fixated on one strategy, on one stock, on one, and it's great when it's working, but you've got to be able to pull back or simply not trade or be super careful, super focused when it's really difficult so that you don't have like these big losses that you're then when it is easy, you're just recovering from your losses. That's hard to do for a lot of people. But you
Yeah,
got it.
every one of the names we trade and love go through periods where they are untradeable. So that's something else that you really have to remind yourself is your names that you've made your biggest wins and had your biggest days trading. Those names will have days when they can take it all back if you do not trade intelligently and realize that every name goes through cycles of great trading and not so great trading.
You say, hey, it's on its cycle right now. No pun intended. And we're just
It's that
All
time of the
stocks
month.
are women. It's that time of the month. It's like I got a few days here where I just got to muscle through it. It's just like
I never
smile
would
and
have said
grin.
that joke, but Rose could get away
I,
with
I
it.
could get away with it, yeah.
There you go. That's why we have diversity on this show, people. And the Russians show up just as you do that. Hello, Russian bot.
Just in time.
Oh, so guys, on that, great segue to the end. I will be having Kelly on the show on Sunday. Going to do a special
Sick.
So Sunday. Kelly will be
Perfect.
on. It'll be in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. He's pretty much free. I still have to lock down the time with him. I'll let everybody know in Discord. If you don't know, Kelly is, when we joke around saying I'm Kelly Jr. and something, Kelly, amazing trader, incredible trader. I cannot wait to talk to him, pick his brain. If you have questions for him, send them to me. The show will be Eastern Standard Time, sometime after 3:30. I have to look at my stuff. Don't know. 12:30 his time, so anytime after 12:30 West Coast time. So we're going to work it out. I will post in Discord when I have the time set down. I'm communicating with him now. So as soon as we have the time, but Sunday afternoon / evening, depending on where you're at, we'll have a show. If you have questions or anything like that, you can message them to me in Discord. It'll be similar to, everything I do is not scripted. So we'll see where that goes. But I can't wait to talk to him about what he does, his journey as a trader, how he got to where he is now, how he built confidence in what he does. So a little bit of preview of an interview coming up Sunday, special Sunday show this Sunday. So y'all want to come check that out. I think it might be worth watching. Other than that, I really appreciate CT and Rose, you guys coming on. Love talking to you. Went a little bit longer than we initially planned. CT, sorry, but
All good.
hey, time flies when you're having fun. To all you guys watching, really appreciate it. Love you spending your time with us. It means a lot. It really does. You're spending your time here. You're listening to us rant and talk and blowing off steam and stuff. I think, this is fun and important. But, hey, I love it. I hope you guys do too. Rose, you got anything for the people before we sign off?
Yeah. Just be happy. Just be happy. Trading, it's a means to an end. It's a means to happiness. It's not your life. It's not the all end be all. Just be happy.
Amen. Enjoy the life that trading gives you. It is a means to an end. It's not everything that there is. CT.
I could not agree more, Rose. It's very easy in this business to just get focused on, continually making more and more and more, but that's not what life's about. Trading gives you the freedom, not just with time, but also with finances to enjoy life. And that's what's important. So find something that you enjoy, spend your time doing it, get away from the market, enjoy your weekends, and hit that like and subscribe button because Gator's doing a great job. And we love all the work he puts in here. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone.
Appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Cheers to everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Celebrate. Have fun. Love your family. Love the people around you. Enjoy this. I'll see you all Sunday, actually, this week. If you don't make Sunday show, I'll see you Monday live in Discord, and we're going to tear it up next week. Trade intelligently.